Lelyn Mac is a filmmaker, musician, and actor who is the director of the thought-provoking film Neurosis. And he's on the line with us here. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Excellent, thank you. So, we'll talk about the film in a bit, but let's talk about you first of all. What was your journey into the film industry?
Well, I actually started as an editor. Funny enough, I was in high school and I was really big into anime. I'm still into anime now, but there's these things back in the day called AMV, which were like these like anime music videos. And basically, I just spent a lot of my time in high school just like making those things, just like editing these fight scenes, just the music. And I was just learning how to edit this whole time. And then I'd always been like into stories and into writing and to making my own worlds and like that. Like when I was a kid, when we would play outside and stuff, we would all make our own characters and we'd make our own world, and we would just pick up the story as it led off. And I eventually got gifted like a little camcorder thing from my grandma, and so I'd make like little films then. And it all kind of culminated when I was actually writing a book. And this was like this is when I was in college and I was writing a book, and I kept picturing it as images in my head. So I figured, you know what, let's give this film thing a shot. And yeah, here we are. Just haven't looked back since then.
And were there any specific filmmakers who have maybe influenced your style along the way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you always got to say Quentin Tarantino because, of course you do. But actually, Ari Aster, the guy that did Hereditary and Midsummer and The Beau is Afraid, he's been a huge influence on me. And Mike Flanagan as well, the director of Doctor Sleep and then The Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor on Netflix. He's just fantastic director. They do this low, like pondering, like sense of dread just the entire time. There's not a lot of jump scares. It's just pure unease. And like the thing I love about Ari Aster is that he writes all of his own films. And because like not a lot of directors like they just direct or they write and direct, and the ones that write and direct, I'm like always such a huge fan of because their films are so interesting because it's like their vision through and through. Yeah.
And you've been recognised as an up-and-coming director in the film industry, so how does it feel to have your work acknowledged and appreciated on that scale?
I don't want to lie and say it doesn't feel satisfying because I've really there's been a lot of time put in and there's been a lot of effort and blood, sweat, and tears. So it's kind of almost relieving, just because it feels like I'm not grinding as hard with like zero results. If that makes sense, like things are finally like starting to happen, which it does give me just a good sense of relief, just because I'm actually starting to see the fruits of the labor. So
Yeah.
that's been very satisfying.
And what is it you believe that sets your approach to filmmaking apart from others in your generation?
Honestly, for me, okay. So what sets me apart is I'm not into like the traditional filmmakers that all of my peers and colleagues are into. I'm not like really into like the stereotypical great, if that makes sense. Like when you ask a lot of people what their favorite directors are, they're going to say Scorsese, Spielberg, James Cameron, because those are the OGs. Those are the guys that started all of this and really, brought film up. And like for me, like I'm not really into older movies, which is a little blasphemous, I'll say, but it's just I have a sound background, and it's just like the sound back in the day just wasn't great. It hurts my ears. But I'm very much like a modernist. I love the modern like films, and I definitely think we are putting out our best work now, especially because there is so much boundary pushing we're doing now, and we're really not afraid to tell our stories the way we want to tell them. There's a lot of boundary pushing narratively that's been happening lately, which I'm a big fan of. And there's never been more influences you can pull from than there is now, which is something that I'm a huge fan of. Like there's games, there's movies, there is books, and there's just a plethora, and there's music even, and there's just more. We're more knowledge now than there's ever been been before. And look, my whole thing is, it's been a long tangent, apologize. My whole thing is that I pull from everything. It's not just like every single experience I have inspires me in some way. And it either tells me, oh, I should not do this, or absolutely I should incorporate this somehow. Because to me, everything connects and it's all one big circle and it feeds into each other. I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah. Well, your latest project is, of course, called Neurosis, as I mentioned, and it's your first major feature film that you've directed. So, can you give us a brief overview of what the movie is about?
Yeah. So, little brief info about it. It's about this guy named Cole. He is essentially going on this journey. I don't want to say self-discovery, but he's really going through the ringer. We open with him in the trunk, and the whole film is us piecing together why he's there, what's going on, and who's driving the car with him in it.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of this big mystery that is leading into things that no one could have expected. But it is it's a psychological horror piece, and it really dives into his psyche and who he is as a person and how he feels about things in a way that really hasn't been done before, at least like to my knowledge, the way that we're doing it. So I'm very happy just about the direction we're taking this. But no, it's very exciting. It's going to be a very fun horror piece, and I think all the horror fans out there are really going to enjoy it. There's a little bit of everything for you. It very much has its own identity, and I'm really excited.
Absolutely. And what was it that motivated you to direct this particular story?
So in terms of directing, I'm a writer as well, and I write everything that I direct just because I feel more comfortable doing it. But for me, there's a lot from my personal life in here that I felt the need to speak on. There is a lot of themes of mental health in this film, and that's a very that subject is very near and dear to my heart. Actually, very much like a mental health advocate for men specifically. I don't. But what inspired me was just honestly just had a dream, funny enough, and that kind of snowballed into this story. So it was just this combination of me exploring certain themes and kind of getting some angst out, you could say, just within me working some stuff out, and it just snowballed into this very fun story, this scenario that just kept expanding on itself until it grew into something that I never anticipated it being, which is just this really large scale story, and it kept growing until it got to where it is now. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's what inspired me, sir.
It's your first major feature film, of course, that you've directed. So were there any challenges that you faced in transitioning from shorter projects to a full-length feature?
Well, it's we haven't shot it yet. We're gonna be shooting. We're slated to shoot in March, but we're gonna see how that goes because everything's always changing in film. But the biggest transition really is just, it's not really different in terms of what I've done before. I've done a lot of short films, and like it's essentially the same process, just stretched out and longer. But the biggest change I've noticed is that people actually care when you make a feature. Like when you make a short, everyone's like, okay, but like when you make a feature, everyone's like, oh, like this is an actual movie, and it's like, yeah, and so that's just been the big difference, that people actually care now. Like they loved my work before, and everyone's like, oh, this is great, but now like everyone gets instantly more invested when it's just a longer form project, if that makes sense. That's been the major difference for me.
And the film will have established actors in it. So was it difficult to attract named talent? to Neurosis?
Honestly, I've actually been having an easier time, or we have as a team has been having an easier time than I thought we were going to have. And I'm going to contribute that just to the script. It's a damn good script. It's not
Yeah.
something that you see every day. It's not the type of story that you've really seen before. And I think that was attractive to a lot of people. Every character feels like their own character, and there's a lot to explore with each one, and it really dives deep into each person. It's like for me, it's definitely a good actor's grip. Like the performances are gonna really like make like this film. And luckily we've had a chance to we have some pretty solid people on the cast so far, and I'm really excited. There's some up and comers and some established people that I don't want to just name drop quite yet. But yeah, no, it's been easier than I expected, and I'm optimistic for the future. Let's say that.
Absolutely. And for listeners who are interested, is there a way they can get involved with or support the production of Neurosis?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we have our social set up for just Neurosis feature film. We have like Instagram, Facebook. I think we have a Twitter, but I don't remember it since like everything got switched over when it became X. And and then we actually currently have we currently have there's our socials, and then we actually have a fundraiser going if anyone is interested in getting like behind the scenes content or just special memorabilia from the film, or if they even want they want to get directly involved. There's actually a way to do that through the fundraiser as well. So yeah, that's just going to be us on our Indiegogo. That's going to be the way to do it. This Neurosis feature film. And that's it's just like a little extra perk that you can get if you want to support the movie, and you get a lot of cool like interviews and behind the scenes content that we're working on right now. So just like interviews with the actors, and it's like you can buy the Blu-ray and stuff like that. It's cool. It's a lot of cool perks.
Sounds exciting. What other projects are you working on at the moment? Is it just this film for now, or do you have other stuff in the pipeline?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So a little teaser. So what I will say is that this film is the first of three. It's not. Yeah. It's going to be a long ways away, but this is going to be a trilogy of sorts. And besides that, I actually did do some music stuff. I just released my first single. If anyone is interested in looking at that, I am a musician as well. And it's a hard rock, it's like a hard rock song called Two Face. You can search it up anywhere you want. And besides that, currently just shot a short film for a friend of mine. And right now the feature is taking up most of my time, but potentially going to be shooting a mini series here pretty soon that I'm going to be producing. So that's going to be very exciting. But besides that, those are kind of the major things I've currently been working on.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us, and good luck with the film Neurosis.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.